A long, slow death has finally come to an end. Sony's Marvel Universe, after years of struggling, misfires, and critical disasters, is officially dead. With Kraven the Hunter flopping hard and years of failed villain and projects behind them, Sony's just wiped its last remaining Marvel movie from its release schedule. No more spin-offs, no more anti-heroes, just a graveyard of abandoned plans. But what does this mean for Spider-Man 4, Beyond the SpiderVerse, and is Sony really done with Spider-Man? Here's what we know. Well, the fall of Sony's Marvel Universe wasn't a sudden collapse. It was inevitable. The writing had been on the wall for years, but it was Kraven the Hunter that delivered the final blow. Panned by critics and ignored by audiences, the film's disastrous performance left Sony with no choice but to pull the plug. It wasn't just one failure. This was a franchise built on shaky ground. Morbius became a meme rather than a hit, Madam Web was torn apart before it even had a chance, and the even once reliable Venom franchise has been showing signs of diminishing returns. Now Sony has officially removed its final Marvel project from its release schedule. A previously unannounced film slated for June 27, 2025 has been erased entirely. No replacements, no new dates, just silence. For those keeping track, this means nearly every Sony Marvel movie that wasn't directly tied to Spider-Man has been cancelled or quietly abandoned. This includes rumored projects like Venom 4, which was believed to be centered on Flash Thompson's Agent Venom, Silver Sable, and even that long-discussed Sinister Six movie. So, where does this leave us and what is left? Well, for now, Sony seems to be shifting gears. The future of Spider-Man related projects now rests on two major films, Spider-Man 4, which seems like a guaranteed hit, and Spider-Man Beyond the SpiderVerse, the highly anticipated sequel to Across the Spider-Verse. There are also rumors of new directions, Spider-Man variants. The Spider-Noir live-action series starring Nicolas Cage is currently in development, and there have even been whispers of other alternate Spider-Man joining the fold. But beyond those, the once bloated slate of Sony villain-led spin-offs has been gutted. Some projects like El Muerto, starring Bad Bunny, or Hypo Hustler, starring Donald Glover, never gained traction. Fans were skeptical from the moment they were announced, seeing them as Sony desperately handing out Spider-Man adjacent characters to anyone willing to make the film. So their cancellations are a surprise to no one. Now, it's unclear if Sony ever had a true plan for its Marvel Universe. Some reports suggested a long-term goal of bringing together an anti-heroic Sinister Six to fight Null, the god of the symbiotes. Others pointed to vague connections between Madam Web and a larger multiverse Spider-Man mythology, but none of it came together. And now, Sony itself is looking for answers. Recently, departing Sony CEO Tony Vinciquerra spoke out, calling Kraven the Hunter, quote, probably the worst launch we had in 7.5 years I've been at Sony. And yet, despite the film's failure, he still seemed confused by the reactions. He went on to say, quote, that didn't work out very well, which I don't understand because the film is not a bad film. Now, he went on to double down that critics had unfairly targeted Sony projects, suggesting one of their worst movies ever, Madam Web, failed at the box office because of critical response and not because of the quality of the film, even saying they were destroyed by critics and the press. It's a bold statement, but let's be real. Numbers don't lie, and the critics didn't bury the Sony universe, audiences did. So where does this leave us? Well, with Sony's villain-led Spider-Man universe now officially dead, focus is now where it always should have been, on Spider-Man. Now, whether it's Tom Holland's MCU Spider-Man, Beyond the Spider-Verse's animated multiverse, or some rumored variant-based projects, Sony seems to have finally realized that Spider-Man himself is their best bet for success. Now, how this impacts the MCU going down the road, well, that's really the key question. Because if Sony refocuses on Spider-Man, this could mean Peter Parker's days in the MCU are numbered. We know Tom Holland is reaching a phase where he's probably going to walk away from the character. He said as much recently when he talked about having a family, so the future for Spider-Man is wide open. Now, is this truly the end of Sony's failed universe? Or like Spider-Man clawing his way out of a grave in Kraven's Last Hunt, will it rise again? Well, at least for right now, the nightmare is over. Now, before you take off, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button, ring that bell for all the updates, and make sure you get every notification because we do daily Marvel and DC content and we don't want you to miss any news.